Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Griffin, and I am a filmmaker based out of Orange County, California. And today I want to talk to you about the Canon C200 and whether or not it's still worth it in 2020. Let's get into it. Okay, so in this review, I want to talk about some of the things I like, some of the things I don't really like about the camera. And if you stick around till the end, I'll tell you whether or not I recommend it in 2020. So jumping right into it, for the things that I really like, the first thing would have to be the image in 4K RAW. So a few months ago, I was filming a TV show with my friend Dustin's company, Mainco, and we were able to use, I think there was 3 or 4 Canon C200s. The main cameras for the show were an ARRI Alexa Mini and an ARRI Amira, and the other one was a Red Epic. Then there was also 3 Canon C200s. So just the ability to be able to be used on big sets like that, it's pretty cool. Knowing that a camera that you get for $7 grand all in, you can use alongside the cameras that cost 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand. So that's a really cool thing for sure. The second thing I like about the camera is the image in 1080. A lot of the stuff I make money on is long form content. For that, you're kind of looking for something that you can just slap on a tripod and leave it there kind of all day, not have to worry about it, plug it in, run it off mains, and not have like gigantic file sizes to deal with. So that's something that's really cool. The production that I run for the company I work with, Fight Camp, we actually own 3 C200s and we're about to buy a 4th. The reason for that is we film a lot of classes that are like an hour long boxing class, and you don't want to be shooting that in 4K RAW. And so it's nice that the exact same camera that you can have like this super high-end codec, you also have this sort of like low-end codec, really small file sizes, easy to just throw in Premiere and just start editing right away. Third thing I like about the camera is the ergonomics. It comes pretty much ready to use. You can start shooting right away. You just pick it up, turn it on, slap a battery and a lens in, and you're good to go. You don't really need to go like hop on small rig and like buy every freaking part that there is on there and like rig it out, and each one's a little bit different. Like if you're running a production company and you want to have just like a couple of the same cameras, it's really nice that you could just literally order the camera and the package that it comes with, it's literally ready to go. I would say that's kind of like one of my biggest gripes with the Blackmagic cameras. They're super good, the image is really good, and they even like hold up to the C200 pretty well. The only problem is you kind of have to like rig them out. You're sort of like piecing it together instead of getting a camera that comes all the way ready to go right away. Staying on the same topic of ergonomics, one of the other things I really like about it is I feel like it's kind of like, it's just big enough, but it's also just small enough. So it's got, when you hold it doesn't have IBIS, but when you hold it, it's got like enough weight where you don't get those little like micro jitters, like it looks like you're all jacked up on coffee and you can't hold your camera still. And then it's also got like the top handle, it's got a side handle. It's really easy to sort of like just tuck into your body like this and like get a nice steady image. And it's also easy to get like low angle shots. Like I'm pretty tall, so having the top handle, it's nice to get like those low sweeping shots. Whereas like some of the other cameras I've worked with, like the Alexa Mini, it's a great camera, love using it, but man, that thing sucks to carry around. If you don't have an easy rig, and you can't always have an easy rig, like if we're doing like documentary work, for example, it's gonna suck to carry around all day. Like seriously, your arm will be falling off. I shot a concert with the Alexa Mini, and at the end of the concert, I was seriously just like drenched in sweat. Like the image looks really sick, it was an anamorphic, but I mean, wow, like I don't know if I would do it again. And then the other cool thing is you can strip it down. So you can like take the side handle off, take the top handle off. You can put it on like a really small gimbal, like a Ronin S, and get like really nice steady shots that you probably wouldn't be able to get if you had any bigger camera. Even like a lot of the cameras that the C200 competes with, like the EVO one from Panasonic, or even something like one of the cheaper Reds, they're really tough to strip down and put onto something like a Ronin S. That's not exactly how it's designed to be used, but it is cool, especially with the autofocus. Like you could literally just take it, strip it all the way down, and get really nice steady shots without having to bring like a gigantic Movi around with you. One thing that you'll hear every C200 owner talk about is the autofocus, and that's because, you know what, they say pros don't use autofocus, but this is how I make my living. And a lot of the times you are sort of like run and gun, one-man band kind of stuff, and that's where the autofocus really comes in handy. Or if you're sitting down to do an interview, like talking head stuff like this, a lot of the times like I'll set up 2 of the C200s that we have in our production, and you can just put those things on autofocus, and if you're alone, you could sort of sit like off camera and direct like the interview here, so they're getting that sort of like side angle. And it's cool to know that it's just gonna be in focus. You just put it on like that face only autofocus, and if you like duck out of frame, and then you come back in, it's not gonna like jump to the background. Another thing I like about this camera is the battery life. It comes in 2 different sizes. The bigger one's right here. This is the BPA 60. So let's see if that'll focus. Focus. Yep, BPA 60, these are the big guys. These last about 4 hours. And then these small ones, these last about 2 hours. So these are cool. Let me grab the C200. So this is the C200 all stripped down. This is with a small battery on it. It's kind of cool because it doesn't stick out at all. So it's really good if you want to put it on like a gimbal. And then the bigger ones, the BPA 60s, they stick out right here on the back of the camera. But what's cool about it is they last 4 hours, and that's like a crazy amount of time. So I really like knowing that you can just stick 2 batteries in your backpack and you're good to go shooting all day. So like a lot of the stuff that I've been doing recently has been like fighter documentary work. So you're out, you're like solo shooting all by yourself, and you gotta be shooting for basically all day, and you don't have like a first AC to carry all your stuff and prep your camera. So you're sort of like doing it all yourself. It's really nice to be able to just like slap a battery on, and if you're say like filming a fight, you could literally film the whole fight, not have to worry about it. Or you're filming a concert, something where it's like you're gonna be at an event for a while, and it's good to know that you don't have to like always be stressed out, like, okay, like, do I have my V mounts? Like, for example, hang on one sec. Ugh. Okay, so this is a V mount battery, and then this thing on the Alexa Mini, I think it'll last like an hour. This is the C200 battery. It'll last 2 hours. And like you can like literally see the size difference. Do I need to hold that up more? Yeah. And then, I mean, it's crazy that you can get so much battery life out of the C200. I know I'm talking about that for like 20 years. This will get you 4 hours on the C200, and then this will get you like an hour on the Alexa Mini. So for something that has comparable image quality, it's not an Alexa Mini. The Alexa Mini is better. But if for specific use cases, when you need long battery life, the C200 is the way to go for sure. Okay, so another thing is the built-in ND filters on the C200. That's one of the main reasons I love it. So a lot of the times, like if you're out filming like dock work, you have to like you're inside and then you're outside, then you're back inside again. You don't want to be like threading on like these little filters. Like I've got some of these Polar Pro ones. These are like single. This is like a 6-stop, and then this one's a 4-stop. And then you got like a step-up ring, depending on your lens size. Some are 77 mil, some are 82 mil if you're using like a 24 to 70. So then you're using like a step-up ring, and then it's getting jammed on your ND filter. Like you don't want to do that. Like trust me, I've been there, I've done it. It's not fun. So like the other option is something like this. This is a variable ND filter. These are a lot easier. You just literally twist it. The problem is they're horrible for your image. Like they make it way softer. Like you lose some contrast. A lot of times when you go to like the 4-stop, 5-stop, or 6-stop, you get like a lot of like green casting, or some of them, like the cheaper ones, will give you like an X pattern. And there's good ones, like the Polar Pro one from Peter McKinnon's pretty good, but like it's still not as good as having it built in, and it's never as fast. So like not having to fiddle around with that when I'm out shooting, it makes a big difference for me. Last thing I really like about the C200 is it has the built-in XLR ports. So it's got really good audio. It's cool knowing, like, especially like I said, for dock work, you can basically take a mic like this, like a Rode NTG3, and you can literally just plug it in to the XLR ports. And then on the back of the camera, it's got the audio controls. So it's got like a physical control. So if someone starts talking really loud all of a sudden, you literally just have like a little control dial. You kind of have like your thumb on it and sort of just ride that down. So it's not gonna be clipping at all. And then if you don't wanna have this, like if you're doing gimbal stuff, this one's kind of like all the way stripped down for gimbal use. It's got a little scratch audio built into it. So if you need to, you can still get scratch audio and just like do like a sync clap or something like that. And it's pretty easy to match that up in your editor. Another thing that's cool is if you want to just slap like a little Rode VideoMic Pro on there, it's got 1/8 inch input. So that's kind of nice if you have like a consumer grade mic and like maybe you haven't upgraded to an XLR mic yet. That's nice that like that's also built in as an option. So it kind of just gives you a lot of flexibility. And then the preamps in this are a lot better. than something like just like a DSLR. So if I compare the preamps to something like a 1DX Mark II versus like a C200, it's like night and day. Like you can get really nice professional audio straight into the camera with this. If you're using something like this, it's decent, but like you can't use an XLR mic, and like for interviews and stuff like that, it's just not a professional solution. So you'd have to use something like an external recorder and then either like run a line into the DSLR, or you'd have to like just sync it up in post, which ends up slowing you down. And like the more things you can do to like alleviate yourself from having to add one more step in post, the fewer things you have to do, the easier it's gonna be for you, and the faster you can get your edits done, the more money you can make. So in my opinion, that's one of the things I really like about it. Okay, so jumping into the things that I don't really like about the camera, the first thing is like every C200 owner's biggest complaint about the camera is there's no like intermediate codec. There's this really high-end codec, which is the 4K RAW. I love it, it works really well. And then there's this low-end 4K 8-bit 420 image, which is like, I don't even use that ever. And then there's the 1080, but there's no like good intermediate codec like the C300 has, like where it's like a 4K 10-bit 422 with manageable file sizes that's kind of easy to edit. The RAW out of this camera, like it looks really, really good. The problem with it though is it's kind of hard to edit. It's really slow on the computer. So if you have a complex timeline, it's gonna really suck. So I have an iMac Pro that I edit on, and then I also have the fastest MacBook Pro from 2019. And on both those computers, it still really sucks to edit. If you have like multiple streams of RAW, it's gonna really slow down your computer a lot. And then like what I end up doing a lot of the times is I just take the CFAST card and then I'll plug it in and use a media encoder to make like 422 10-bit files that are in 4K. So that's kind of like my little workaround. But if you're doing stuff that's quick turnaround, like if you're doing say event work and then they want the edit by the next day, like a lot of the times you don't have time to like transcode ProRes files. So you end up having to like edit the RAW and it slows you down. You can use in-camera proxies, but like that's not really a workflow that I love to use because I kind of like to color grade as I'm going through, and I like to like color grade the actual image. And if you're using proxies, then like you're always color grading the proxies, and the proxy is like a super low bitrate file. Last thing that I don't really like about this camera is the media that it records to. It records to CFAST media. These are CFAST cards, and when I first bought my very first 512 gigabyte CFAST card, it was $1,000. Yes, 1,000 US dollars, which is like, when I bought it, I remember thinking, when I first got into photography and video, I was like, okay, like that's a good camera for $1,000. And like, you can still get like an A6500 for $1,000. And it's like, when I bought a memory card for $1,000, I was like, whoa, like this is crazy, like how expensive this is. But like, I get it, it's fast media, it's gotta be expensive. And like, some people use the solid pod solution. I would not recommend that. Like, you don't wanna like have all your files like dangling on the top of your camera on a hot shoe, like ready to get bumped off or knocked, or like get the cable ripped out while you're recording. And you thought you were recording and it's something important like a wedding or an event, and then like you can't go back and reshoot it. So like, I would never recommend that solution. So you just gotta kind of suck it up and buy the media. I get it, like everybody has expensive media, like Red. If you're shooting on an Alexa Mini, it's just the CFAST cards, and they're even more expensive because they have to be certified. But you know, it does suck. Like when you see like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, like you can record with those little Samsung T5 drives, and like you can save yourself a ton of money if you have to record a lot. So that is a bummer. Like I don't love that, but it's not the end of the world either. Last part, would I recommend this camera in 2020? The short answer is yes and no. It depends who you are and what you do. If you're someone like me, I record a lot of documentary stuff, I record commercial stuff, and then I also record a lot of like long form stuff where I want like a really small codec. It's actually the perfect camera. I love it, works really well for me. If you're someone that sort of like rides on that in-between space where like you do a lot of like reality TV work, or you do a lot of stuff where you need to do like quick edits right away and also have high quality, maybe look at the C300 or something like that. Or even like the new C500 Mark II, because like that pretty much solves all the problems of the C200. If you're someone just starting out, you don't have any lenses, it's hard to not look at something like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K or 6K, because it's like way cheaper. You could get two of those cameras and still have money left over for other stuff like lights or stands or audio or like whatever else you need. My buddy Jeff's got one of those cameras. I love using it. The image out of it's super good. It's way smaller. It's cheaper. I mean, it's a really good camera. So for someone just starting out, maybe look at the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera and ask yourself, are the things in the C200 gonna help you make money? And are they gonna help you do your job better? So for me, the answer is yes. It's still 100% worth it in 2020. Okay, so that pretty much concludes it, guys. So thanks for sticking around and watching this review. This is my first YouTube video that's in this form, and I've done other stuff just for fun, but nothing where I've been talking about cameras and reviewing things. So I love watching it, so I figured, hey, why not make a few of these? If you guys like this kind of content, stick around, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Take care.